We're live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 291. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, and also the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. With us today, we have David Rozan, the oldest man in SEO. David, an SEO copywriter for about 140 years. And
don't shortchange me, Jim, please.
Now David is a leading internet marketer. He lives on the sunny side of the UK. He's pretty close to Brighton SEO. All right. Rob Mars. Rob is he's an AdWords aficionado. He's based in the Netherlands, and he's also a Google top contributor on the AdWords and the just checking Webmaster, Google Webmaster.
Yeah, he's one of our lot.
Okay, you can find Rob at marketbiz.nl. You can find David at writingforseo.org and also davidrozan.com. And Sashmeyer is a disaster recovery specialist. He's based in the UK currently, and he is also a Google top contributor on the Google Webmasters forum.
Man,
Tim
I've been
Capper?
over here.
Sorry?
I've been over here too long. I'm flying back stateside finally on July 24th. But 5 months in this country, it's been too much.
I just realised I forgot to invite William. I'll fix that in a second, unless somebody else would like to send him an invitation. And Tim Capper, the CEO of onlineownership.com. He's based in the UK, about 100 miles north of London. He's also a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. All right, let's tweak that and we'll move on to the first question. It's titled Ghost URLs. It's from Hannah Groves. It's a question designed, well, looks like it's I'll read it out. You can figure it out for yourself. Hannah said, hi, I recently set up Google Search Console on a new website. It comes back with submitted URL has a crawl issue. It's provided the URL, but this URL doesn't exist on the website at all. When I search the URL, it comes up with an image from the website with a slightly different URL. So I'm a bit confused as to what I need to do to fix this. I do use Yoast, and the sitemap submitted does not have this URL. So I'm not sure where the Search Console is even finding this URL. Any suggestions, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so Yoast had an issue about a month back where they updated one of their plugins and it removed the attachment image to the actual specific post, which you normally would have set in your old settings anyway. So what you want to do is update your plugin if it hasn't already updated. Then in the search appearance, because it completely looks different now, in the search appearance section, you will see a media tab, and then there will be an on-off switch, which will say save attachments to the original URL. Select that to yes, save that, and what will happen is those will ultimately drop off over time.
Basically, I will say that A, you're really on the ball for somebody as hungover as you. That's kudos, you know. And B, Yoast is actually this in the first place for their XML sitemaps. Really, I've had a lot of people come into the forum over the last few months with problems with the sitemaps in the first place. And it's something where I'm actually starting to advise people to move away from the inbuilt sitemap generator, because it just does not do a very good job. You know, go to somewhere like xmlsitemaps.com and just build one, because chances are your site will exceed their free parameters, and then just load it manually. It's a shame, because I really like the Yoast plugin as such, but the sitemap maker, not so much.
Talking about the sitemaps, one thing I found with this new the new Yoast, in the previous version before the update and this cock up, you could literally, there was a tab that said sitemaps. You could go into it, view sitemaps. Now you have to go down to, oh God, I think appearance. Then you've got the tools, and then the one will say, tools, and then there's appearance. Then you have to click on the little question mark, click on that, and then you have to click through to the tiny little view sitemap. Pain in the ass to find, but now once I found it, then you can actually see, okay, Yoast is pulling some bizarre, you know, depending on what template you're using, or if it was custom built, or if your developers use part of a template, you might find some weird freaking category or product or some weird kind of freaking attachment in there. Find that, then you have to go back into the search appearance, find that in your taxonomies, and turn it off. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit arse about Titface, and I don't like this new update. So yeah, that's where to find your sitemaps, and just to keep an eye on them, turn them on, turn them off, whichever.
Excellent. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Sash. I see we've just been joined by Micah Fisher-Kirshner. Micah is an SEO. He's head of SEO, or is it head of search for Turn River Capital? All right, let's go to the next one. Ahmed Abd El Aziz asked a question saying, what's the best for SEO, AMP or responsive design?
Are we back here? Oh, yes, I answered this the other day, didn't I? Well, I'll just repeat what I said in the first place, because it's all about approach and what you do. It's about giving the visitors what they want. Really, whether you go AMP or responsive is a coin toss. Personally, I will come down on the responsive side of that, because a properly optimized responsive site is really is far more versatile than anything AMP does. So, focus.
Sorry.
Yeah, focus on what you're actually presenting your visitors with first, and worry about the minute difference between AMP and responsive second.
Yeah, on the whole, I think there's been studies, or at least one site, that has showed that responsive, if built properly, can be faster than AMP itself, but you got to be really good about it. Secondarily, AMP is only really there for first time hitting a page. It's not good once you go from page to page to page. And so when you're building something that's really only for Google, fundamentally, and which essentially means you're building a whole separate site, which is kind of the fundamental push away from the whole concept of just one page, one site, one design, which is the whole beauty of what responsive essentially is. So I usually always come down on the responsive set. I understand kind of there's some of the intrinsic value for why kind of pushed through on Google's end with AMP. And so like in cases of news organizations, you kind of have to handle that a little bit more delicately if you want to be in kind of their news carousels for that purpose. Outside of that, generally, my view is work first as best you can within responsive, just because you don't actually have to spend the extra legwork of creating two.
Yeah, it's I think for me, I think this depends. You say it's a new technology, new site. For me, it depends on where you're looking at going with this in terms of a new site. Are you ultimately looking at having an app, you know, a publisher app version that allows you in a particular story for the day, things like that? Are you envisioning them just reading it via, you know, the app? In that instance, I would say AMP, yeah. And then, of course, there's the new, we don't quite know how it's going to look, but there's the new stamp. So, which in theory is going to be pushing cards directly into the, you know, into mobile and search results. So there's that factor to consider when thinking about AMP. You know, stamps coming along, that could be pretty cool for a news publisher. But, you know, it all depends on where you think your site's going to go and how users are going to interact with this technology news site, how you envision it to work. Ultimately, I would really, you know, if you say it's new, I would really be looking at a really great responsive design. But it all depends on what, I mean, I don't know if this is like, you know, got great funding, or when you say new technology, new site, you're thinking just for myself, I'm going to create a, yeah, do you see what I mean? There's all these things there. But if you had, you know, financial backing and capital behind this, and you were planning on taking over a space in the publishing market, then I would look at AMP, because, and obviously on an app-based interface where you're pushing a single news updated story to people every couple of hours, or breaking news, or whatever the case may be. But if this is just a regular site that you just coining the phrase new technology, new site, but it's just you at home that's creating this, well, then I would just work on your responsive.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else? Okay, let's look at our next one. It's number 3 on your run list, from Kabi Chan Yuet. It's not really an SEO question, but let's have a look at it. It's titled Keywords Rank on YouTube, but not on Google. Kabi said, hello all, I have several videos for not so competitive long tail keywords ranking on top in YouTube locally, but not being referred to Google when the same keyword is searched on organic search in Google. Any tricks that can help? Thanks.
Yeah, well, firstly, YouTube, separate algo, Google, separate algo, two different things. One's a video site, one's a search engine. There may be 100 times more, you know, I know you say it's local and it's long tail, but there may be a couple of thousand people in search results that have some form of relevance for that long tail query. Whereas in YouTube, you might be the only bugger that's ever created anything that's any way remotely within that long tail. So that's the reason why you appear. So if you actually want content to appear, I mean, do you actually have content, or are you wanting your YouTube video to appear for that long tail? YouTube videos don't always appear within search results. It depends on, you know, it depends on what triggers it. And there are a ton of queries out there that do not trigger YouTube videos. Plus Google, you'll see, you know, 1 week you'll be searching something and you may see some YouTube vids in the results, and a month later you search the same thing and they're not in there. You know, these things changed over time depending on what the search algo feels is most relevant to that user's query at that point in time. And YouTube vids, like anything, aren't sort of evergreen. Google, you know, the search may feel that this is something that's trending over in YouTube and it's pretty relevant because people are talking about it, and semantically it goes, yeah, actually we're going to chuck that into search results now for that query. And then 2 months later, when things died down and nothing's happening again, it's like, not relevant. And it either disappears back into page 2, 3, 4, or 5, or just pisses off altogether. So yeah, it's two different things, mate. You need to decide what you're trying to do, and then decide what you want, and then go about doing it that way. But ultimately, you're saying it searched. So I would say I would create an article about it. Here's a top tip. Take the same title, almost visibly the same title, create an article around your YouTube vid, embed your YouTube vid into the article, and boom, you'll be there, you know, with it for that search query. Yeah, it's because they're two different things.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, let's go to the next. Sorry about that, the delay there. Number 4 on our run list is from Jason Hying Chul Kang, redirecting 2 pages to the same page. He said, might be a dumb question, but are there any repercussions for redirecting 2 pages to the same page? The reason I'm asking is because on my old site, my old static HTML website, I had /gloves.htm and /golfgloves.htm, which were both the same page. Now, after I moved to WordPress, the page became /golfgloves. So I placed a 301 redirect to /golfgloves on both gloves HTM and golfgloves.htm. In this situation, would this be the correct practice? Thank you.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Although you don't generally put a trailing slash after an HTM, otherwise things go very badly wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, with the trailing slash, it would be like a completely different page, and
yes.
the .htm would be read as a directory.
So the actual practice is correct, but if you've got those trailing slashes in your 301s, then it's more likely to actually result in a 500 rather than an actual redirect.
Okay. All right, Jason, I hope that you're happy with that. Let me tweet that. We'll go to the next. This one from Neil Cheeseman. It's titled Park or Redirect. He said, if creating a .de, a German CCTLD, and also registering the .com to ensure the domain name is registered, is it best to park the .com or to redirect .com to .de? There won't be 2 lots of content at the moment, simply a German language version of content.
I would say going to do that. Make sure that if there's any German content, it's not just machine translated, because Google is not on that these days. If you have any German content, and this is like brand protection, then I would say host it and just put a basic page up as kind of a placeholder for the time being. Don't just park it. If you don't have any German content ready, then just park it. Or, I mean, alias it, like Michael Martinez said. That's good advice. But to me, I would actually create some basic content to have something there. It's gone suspiciously quiet.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to do about 3 things at once. So have we covered it, Sash, do you think?
If nobody else wants to pitch in, I mean, you know.
I must also point out Michael Martinez. He said, alias the domain, do not simply park or redirect. But also, I'd like to thank people like Michael Martinez who take the trouble to answer questions through the week and answer people as soon as they post their question. Their contribution is invaluable. All right, our next is from Georgia Lillis. Does Google penalize for not using manufacturer barcodes?
No. But that would be interesting if they ever did.
I saw that and I almost answered it the other day. So yeah, no, absolutely. It would be a very, very interesting scenario, as Mike pointed out. In fact, I was going to answer it, but then I totally got sidetracked.
Yeah, I can see potentially how this question comes up in some ways, because if there's a view of copying a lot of the content that comes from the manufacturer's website, descriptions, product product ID number, etc., there might be potential confusion sometimes with that. But yeah, Google's not looking at the barcode and worrying.
I've just had a thought. I've just had a thought here, right? So could you obviously, you know, in your actual product itself, use your the actual the manufacturing ID, obviously, which 9 times out of 10, which is what is the searchable, and that fits within structured data. But why not add like the barcode in? Also add the barcode, but then mark that up also. So you provide in both sets. I mean, it's not going to make a difference whether you do or don't, but I'm just thinking, in why not provide both? I don't think anybody ever searches via barcode numbers, but it may be some additional info that Googlebot may or may not like. I don't know. I mean, it could be, you know, mark it up. You know, if you got it in there already, mark the fucker up.
So the reason why there might be a question as well for that, why somebody will search, I don't know if it's barcode or product ID in this case, but like for product ID, oftentimes you'll get markups with the same exact product. So sometimes e-commerce sites don't want to show the same ID code, because then you can go and search the ID code, find the same product elsewhere for a lot cheaper. So in some situations, that's why they won't want to put in something like that information on the site. So and that's why you'll also sometimes see them rewrite the name of the product, even though but then they get lazy and put in the same picture. So that might be a reason for why there's this question as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Micah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next on our run list. We're powering through these. Early leave mark tonight, guys. I can't read the person who posted it, but the title is, "What's the best way for a new website to get organic traffic in a short time?"
How long is that piece of thing?
Well, you're saying how long is a short time?
No, yeah, exactly. That's it's a Britishism. How long is a piece of string? It's a question that cannot be answered.
Well, I was going to say that I mean, doesn't it depend on what is being published on the website? I mean,
well,
yeah. And when you define get organic traffic, are you meaning one click? I mean, what kind of okay, so here you go.
Look, this is basic from somebody who doesn't know. I appreciate what this is. I used to go off on these as well, but you know, it's like I've grown up.
Okay. So,
now, go on. I'll let you talk because you're not going to stop.
okay. So here you go. I'll give you exact dates. New little small. I'll give you exact dates. 23rd of June it went live. I've tidied up, pushed some content on there. This was just a tiny little marquee venue. It had 1 page. It's got 5 now, and we've got more content planned. But 23rd of June it went live, and we've had 2,500 visits since the 23rd of June. So there you go. That's like kind of a question for you. It's a 5-page site. Well, it was 1 page. It's now 5 pages.
But what is it?
Is
it just a small local business that's making a presence on the web? What is it?
Yeah, it's a wedding venue in a local area, very tiny, but it's on the cusp of 3 counties. So it's currently being optimized for 3 different counties. And that's the game plan initially. But on release and tidying some up, we're already in 2 counties, and we're going for the biggest county, which is obviously later. But that's where the next planned set of content comes in. But yeah, look, you can have it all depends on, mate. I mean, this is such an ambiguous question. It all depends what it is, where it is. How are you marketing it also? That's another thing. You may have gone.
Wait. Let me interrupt you a minute, right? Okay, because you have a very unique opportunity. Yeah, I know, right? You wouldn't have stopped. You have a very unique opportunity right now to actually add some real value to this. Instead of asking all the questions that we have no means of answering, just take a basic run through what you have done, preparatory to launch, subsequent to launch, and just the basic steps involved. Because you've got a new business, a new website that's 5 days old. It's ranking, it's getting traffic. So just outline kind of what you did. Yeah, plumbed in Search Console, plumbed in Analytics, promoted it here, made a local listing, whatever those steps entail, just in very general terms, because that will be really helpful, not only to the asker here, but also to other people who watch this video. Go on, run. Not asking for trade secrets here, just general outlines.
Who are you talking about? Me?
I'm talking to you. Were you not listening? I was talking to you the entire time, literally.
Oh, shit. Mate. Okay. Yeah.
That's why I interrupted you, because I wanted your input.
Oh, right. Were you asking me about this little site?
Yes. Right. Okay. Let me
right. I get it.
Restate. What have you done preparatory to launch, subsequent to launch, to get this thing fixed? That's what you want to know. You have a concrete example. Go. Shoot. Run.
Okay. It came to me. As it was. WordPress site. Well, actually, it was 2 pages. There was the landing page saying wedding venue, nice images, and a bit of info about the wedding venue, and then there was an about page, but we're just leaving that out because that was not, and a contact. So essentially, looking at this, it was right. We've got a single page. We kind of answer the questions about this wedding venue because it's fairly small, 120 people. It's in one location. But it was then a question of, okay, so right, let's look at this. We want to firstly capture 3 different little counties because it's kind of it's on like a little triangle. We want to capture these counties, but we don't really have any localized information about these, nor do we have information that essentially would help people whittle down. Now, looking at the specific market, and you need to do this for yourself. Looking at the specific market, people tend to, especially in wedding or venues, they tend to quick whiz through a selection and then put them into a short list and then either go and view them or ask for additional information, a brochure, the other things like that. So there was nothing really informative there. It didn't really answer any questions specifically in terms of, yes, 120 people, but what kind of seating, what kind of venue, what was provided, is it licensed, is for civil weddings, civil ceremonies. So nothing like this. And because none of that was provided, that was also the opportunity to now incorporate the localized the localized content into that. So first things first is it's not, it doesn't have a civil marriage license. So you can't actually get married there. You have to either go get married in a church or in a registry office. Perfect, because the registry offices, now that creates, right, great. We're going to create some content about all the registry offices, and we split them up systematically into those different counties. So not only are you providing some really, in-depth stuff, which nobody else has provided, so you may incrementally attract traffic later from that, but we are now providing hyper-localized and really in-depth stuff on particular areas, of course, leading back to the wedding venue. Then, so right, you've got the buggers married. Now, where are guests going to stay? You see where this is going. So the guests are going to be staying, they're going to need to stay somewhere. So let's start really locally and then spread it out over a 50 to 60 mile radius, taking in different little counties and the villages and towns around them. So then we actually create a big resource for wedding guests. Where are you going to stay? Okay. So now, have you ever been to a wedding and you forgot the card? Or you needed a cash point because it turns out that it's not a free bar all night and you're going to need some cash? Or you were in a rush and you were packing kids in the car and you forgot the wedding present, right? Boom. Next lot of content. Where am I going to get it? Okay, so you start locally. You can get a cash machine here. You can get, and of course, look, hey, weddings can be a bit rowdy, and you may need the nearest hospital. Just all sorts of local information, and you just work your way around it. The next set that we have got planned coming up is stuff in the area, because if your guests are coming from fairly far away, they may not decide to leave straight away. And you may as well provide them some information on what's going on. Take the kids, the next day before you drive home. If it's nice weather, where can they go? Do you need to get any shopping done? Any really interesting things if you're in the area? Things like that. So these are the next ones are planned, but all at the same time, it's about creating that hyper-localized stuff. So you need to, not only are you satisfying creating content to reinforce your location, to reinforce the location and the locations that you can serve, but you're also at the same time providing pretty, 9 times out of 10, most people want to know what the heck's going on in the area. What can I do? How do I get there? All the normal stuff that either the bride or the groom want to know, or the guests need to know. So you need to look at your site, and depending on what genre it's in, you need to look at your site and how can you satisfy or create something that answers pretty much every kind of user query or customer's query, or if it's B2B, those typical business queries that you may get, lead times, distribution model. It all depends on the genre you're in. And then sit down and go, right, what haven't we answered? This is what we haven't answered, X, Y, and Z. Now, we've got X, Y, and Z that we haven't answered. How can we take X, Y, and Z and work that into where our customers, or what we believe we want to target in terms of, you may be local, you not maybe, I mean, you may be international, I don't know. But then look at, we haven't answered X, Y, and Z. And now how can we take X, Y, and Z and answer X, Y, and Z to satisfy particular queries in particular areas or niches that we want to, you know, target in search. But I'm done.
Are you sure?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I wasn't listening.
No, mate, because my brain's bleeding internally, and my I'm brain's bleeding, mate.
I did a little research while you were doing that, Tim, and I came up with some interesting stats. But I mean, a website getting organic traffic. Yeah, I mean, the organic traffic is putting the cart before the horse, really. I mean, because it does depend on the content. It took Facebook 3 years to get 50 million users. It took 35 days for Angry Birds Space App to get 50 million users. And that was a record until Pokemon Go came out, and they took 19 days to get 50 million users. But I would bet that Pornhub.com beat them all. Anyway, let's go to the next. Did I tweet that? No, I don't think I did. Here we go. Number 8 on our run list, Scott Henderson. Google keeps rewriting the homepage title. After changing their business name over a year previously, including all external business listings from Bing to Yelp, and doing a search and replace in their WordPress database, Google was still appending the old name to their search engine results page titles. For new company name searches, the knowledge panel was correct. Other listings on the search engine result pages were correct, but the rewritten by Google homepage title was not. It got so bad that they just removed the real name from the titles because Google still added the second. It made no sense. Fast forward 6 months to now, they had a new site built. I personally searched the database for any legitimate references to the old business name and found none. I was sure that once it was cached, the issue would go away, but it didn't. My dumb SEO question is there still no way to get Google to stop appending the effing title tags? And on a more specific level, if anyone has suggestions for this situation, I am running out of ideas. And thank you, Dragan Grubaki, who just subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so I'm reading through the comments on this as well. My first guess would have been, are they still on the same old domain name? Just like sometimes Google does try to match it up, the titles to the actual domain name. But I mean, I'm in agreement with the comments about you're going to have to update all of your old links that have your branded name in it to essentially get Google to recognize that the name of the brand has fundamentally changed. I think that's going to be your best bet out of anything else.
Thank you, Micah. All right, let's move on to the next. This is from Chris Marcus, and it's a canonical dilemma. Is the title for an e-shop that has categories with the setup page 1 to 5 view all format. I know Google says that the view all page should be the canonical in the series, but I don't want to point to this page as canonical. because it contains too many products and has a slow loading time. And so it gives the user a bad experience. So how should I implement rel next, rel previous? I've got an idea. Lazy load the images on that page because text doesn't take long to download. Doesn't matter how many products he's got on it, won't take more than a millisecond or a few milliseconds to download the page itself. And if he lazy loads the images, it's not going to slow the page down.
It's a plan. One thing I will say is just get some image size placeholders into your page so that your text doesn't continue to slide down and slide down and slide down and slide down and then fucking slide down some more as the images are load down the page. Other than that, good plan.
Okay. Well, let's call that an answer. Now, I think we've got a glitch because we're upgrading our software tonight, and I think we have a glitch. I think when I'll tweak this and click forward. Yeah, it says that. Now let me reload. Damn. Let me try this. Okay, we'll click forward. All right, we found another question. Lauren Miller. She asked this question. Dear Mr. Kappa, how do I initially start promotion as an SEO? She said, hi, if I have to choose one platform for an e-commerce website, then which will be the best for SEO and related things? Also, tell me about URL structure as well. And I have three other questions, numbered 1 to 3. Number 1, and how do I initially start promotion as an SEO? 2, it is difficult to update the product's description. So can I take the product description from the manufacturer's boilerplate? 3, is it okay to take a backlink from one domain for different, or backlinks from one domain for different landing pages of the same website? No.
Let me start by saying don't use OS Commerce. Just don't. OpenCore's pretty good. Properly optimized WordPress installation with WooCommerce, that works too. But yeah, not OS Commerce. Just don't do it.
What about the other 3 questions you
have? I'll go on the product. Yes, you can use the manufacturer's product description if you want to be buried below every other person that uses the manufacturer's product description. So yeah, that's me being sarcastic. I would update that product description based on who you are, the brand, what your USP is. Can you deliver, you know, have you got shorter shipping times, etc. I would update that. I would also then put your own twist on it. So I don't know, let's say this is a jewelry, like a beaded bangle or whatever.
Not pink elephants?
A pink beaded bangle. You know, you need to sell that. You need to sell it. Normally, a manufacturer's product description is literally the description of the product. And what I say to people, whether it be a business owner or someone who's trying to market that, and I always say this, if that was a human customer coming into your store, right? And all you could read to them or say to them was what's on that product description. Would you make the sale? And 9 times out of 10, I don't think you would ever, because they're dry. They are literally just a description. You're not putting your branding into it. You're not putting a persona into it. You're literally not doing anything. You're not putting anything into it. Also, equally, you know, depending on what your other products are, can you upsell within it? Can that bangle go with some other product like dress? Would it match? Would it work with shoes?
Elephants.
You need to start thinking about the whole environment of this and the whole persona of what your brand is. You know, equally, you know, you've left out the actual image, and the next thing you're going to say is, can I just use the same product image? No. Well, yeah, you can do if you want to look like everybody else has used same manufacturer's product image. Ultimately, if you really want to take this seriously, you should have your own small little in-house studio. You can have time. You can make a light box or a curve, an infinity curve yourself, and take proper branded, better images than the actual manufacturer supplies to you. Brand your images, take better images, put them on, make them unique. You know, make them stand out. If somebody's searching for something, and they start looking, you know, at images, or they see them in the shopping, Google Shopping, and every flipping image is the same, but yours is different. It's better high res. It you know, slightly different layout. It may even be on an arm, whatever the case may be. It stands out from the crowd because you're the only ones that put a little bit of effort into actually selling that product, rather than just like, hey, boy, I'm going to, you know, pot luck. I'm just going to try and, you know, pot luck and flog this.
I think, sorry. Shut up.
I mean, that's cool, because I'm going to go on to 3. So that.
Can I go on to 2? Can I go back to 2? Which is just really broadening this point. I think the problem with so many so many e-commerce sites is not only do they use boilerplate text that they borrow that everyone else uses, and they have the same old product description, product photograph, and you know why have it in a light box? Why have it set up so you take pack shots? Why don't you have the piece of jewelry being worn by someone? Why can't you show it in context? So there are all sorts of ways of extending that. But the biggest problem I find with e-commerce sites is that they use the same damned themes. So whether whether you're selling jewelry or secondhand motorcycle parts, you end up with a similar template. You know, go ahead and get a designer in. Find a way of communicating your brand. Otherwise, you're just the same old, same old. You won't be able to do anything except sell on price, and you do not want to do that. So yes, make your site as unique as possible. Put in the time. If you haven't got the budget, there's really no way around it, or you'll end up disappearing, just going glug 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 to the bottom of the sea, never to be seen again. Yeah, that's it. End of soapbox.
So I'm now. Okay.
And now.
So now that I have gone into the whole thing of like, you need to sell this as your branded persona. Okay. I'm now going to play devil's advocate here, and imagine you saying to me, this is some kind of part, literally a I don't know, a ball bearing. Okay. So that in itself can be pretty difficult, especially if you're selling 40,000 different millimetered sized ball bearings made of different materials, from tungsten to stainless to, yeah, okay. So you get my drift here. Sometimes a product, it just literally, you can't even, put this into, make it different to what the actual product spec is. Assuming that there is other ways that you can then make this stand out itself from the crowd by, working on additional things like product spec guides. So you're not necessarily working on the actual product itself because you've got 42,000 stainless steel bearings, or tungsten ones or things, but then you can work on an actual, let's say, guide that would come in over and above these kind of products, where you would then expand within the guide on the actual entire thing in terms of what that consumer would be purchasing. So we, the stainless steel manufacturing process, tungsten ball bearing process, and the, I don't know, whatever kind of other metal process. Which of those three metals are ideally suited for which particular ball bearing job? Is it medium, which are ideally suited for medium loads? What are your lead times on large quantities? What's the minimum quantities you can sell on these? What's the maximum? Put that all into one massive kind of overriding ball bearing guide, which can then direct users directly, once they've read it or understood it, directly to where they want to go. That's something where you've got really dry crap product on site. That's one way that I have used successfully to come in ahead of other suppliers of the same product. But that's assuming it's really dry stuff like a ball bearing. If it's anything to do with, fashion, home, clothing, accessories, anything like that, which is an actual consumer-based product, unfortunately, you need to make it your own. Jim, you've got something on site. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, right. Okay. I was checking. I didn't realize that was going on the screen. I was just checking the availability of a domain there, Tim. Okay, so we've covered this for Lauren, I think. Yes, I think so. Let's go to the next, but I think that's going to tell us, thank you for watching. It is that time. And we still have people watching us, and we thank you so much. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. If you have questions, please ask them either on the SEO Questions community on Google+, or the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you at the same time next week. Thank you very much.